So in this video, we're looking at two different scenarios. Firstly, being asked, write down the smallest value of, and we've got x squared plus 8 and 4x squared plus 3. Now, in the previous video, I explained that x squared plus a is always going to be greater than or equal to a, where x is a real value, okay? So where x is a real number. And throughout this, we're assuming x is real, okay? So that means that x squared plus 8 will always be greater than or equal to 8. So that means that the smallest value that this can possibly be is 8. And that's when x is 0, okay? So 8 is the smallest value. Now for b, we've got 4x squared plus 3. Now you might be thinking, well, what does that 4 make any difference? Well, in actual fact, no, it doesn't. Because essentially, the x can be any real number it likes to be, it wants to be, and x is 0 would make this whole thing 0, and then you would just get 3. So if x was positive or negative, this would be positive because you're squaring the negative value. So you're always going to be adding on something more. So the smallest this could possibly be, again, is 3. So this is always going to be greater than or equal to 3. It doesn't matter what's in front of the x squared there, as long as it's not negative, of course. It's given that it's a positive value, 4, we've got no problem. So 3 is the smallest value. So you could generalise this a bit further and say, well, if you've got k x squared plus a, that's always going to be greater than or equal to a, where k is positive, of course. So we can utilise that. So now we get on to this one. Write down the largest value of 1 over x squared plus 10. Now, the x squared plus 10 is always going to be greater than or equal to 10. Okay? So if I am adding on an extra bit, then that's going to make the denominator larger. Now, if I make the denominator of a fraction larger, it makes the value, the total value, smaller. The larger the denominator gets, the smaller the overall value is going to get. So this is going to be less than or equal to 1 over 10. So any x value that's not 0 that you put in here will only make this fraction smaller. So it will only ever be smaller than 1 over 10. It'll be equal to 1 over 10 when x is 0. So 1 over 10 is the largest value. How about this one? Well, remember what we said before? That 5 isn't going to make any difference. So this will only ever be less than or equal to, well, when x is 0, we're going to have 3 over 6, which of course is 1/2. Okay, so this will only ever be less than or equal to 1/2. So 1/2 is the largest value it can be. Okay, so this is really utilising that property that we saw in the previous video.